ReesaTeesa broke the internet earlier this week with her mega viral retelling of her mentally, emotionally, and financially abusive relationship with her ex-husband. The story is super crazy. She tells it so well. It definitely gives me a throwback to the whole Zola Twitter viral story that happened, I guess, like 10 years ago at this point. So I literally just Googled her name and look at how many news organizations are talking about her. Time Magazine, The Inquirer, USA Today, Rolling Stone, The Root, Daily Mail. Did I say Rolling Stone? US Weekly, USA Today, LinkedIn. What's going on here? Don't y'all have other things y'all need to be worrying about? Everybody's watching it, weighing in. A lot of people are telling their stories. She said that her whole reasoning for doing this was to if she could like literally help one other woman, then for her she viewed it as worth it. The story is roughly 8 hours long, and it's told over several days. She's in her car, she's getting ready for work. But of course, as with all things, I love to think about what is something we can learn here. While she shouldn't be blamed, of course, for her narc ex's lies, I thought it was really great that she did take a lot of accountability. I mean, she said straight up, like, hey, I was stupid. Hey, I shouldn't have did this. Hey, I knew it was wrong and I kept going. I really appreciate the fact that she took responsibility for it and accepted her role in the process. She was very cognizant and admitted to seeing the red flags, ignoring them, and continuing to move in the relationship entirely like way too fast. And also, this is actually something that happened to me, and of course I'm going to use this moment to plug in my own retelling of my abusive relationship experience. If you enjoyed Reesa's story, then you might also enjoy my story, which I turned into a two-part hour-long documentary. It's 30 minutes a piece. I also have videos, photos, text messages, comments, social media, all this kind of stuff, because I felt like Reesa, like this was something that I had to tell. Like I had to let people know that I went through this. There's a lot of people who talk about their abusive relationships on YouTube. And also, my ex was a compulsive liar. To this day, I still don't know what aspects of our relationship was true versus false. He was also a scammer, just like Reesa's ex-husband, which you notice these people usually tend to read from the same type of book. So if you're interested in listening to another story of redeeming yourself in triumph, make sure you watch Dusty King. When I created the documentary, it was around the same time period when Tiger King came out. My ex was the king of dust, so then he became Dusty King, Tiger King, that kind of thing. But anyway, like I was saying, it was great to see that she took responsibility for her actions. I do think we have come far in terms of talking about abuse. Okay, because for a long time you weren't able to talk about it. It was supposed to be hush hush. It was supposed to be taboo. I mean, we still to this day are fighting for people to be believed when they are abused and stuff. There is a progression of where this goes next that is going to be really hard to talk about. It does involve accountability, and it does involve, yes, I know it's hard to leave. Yes, I know it's this, but we have to. That's the next step. We're not there yet. There's still a lot of victim blaming going on, but that's the next phase of this. In The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker, he also talks about this. He says something that is super controversial.
There's a line in Gift of Fear that got a lot of controversy. The first time a woman is hit, she is a victim, and the second time she is a volunteer. People thought that I didn't understand the dynamic, and I understood it very well from my own childhood. I understood very well why women stay. And above all, the reason that I stand by the idea that the first time a woman is hit, she's a victim, and the second time she's a volunteer, is that if you use a dynamic to explain away her inability to leave, then what is the difference on the male side? He too could have a syndrome that says he also cannot stop hitting. If she cannot stop staying, he cannot stop hitting. And my view is she can stop staying. And it's possible that you can get out of these relationships. And if we claim that it's impossible, that denial holds you in, or that having children holds you in, or that love holds you in, then we're basically telling people they are handicapped and they're absolutely doomed to stay in relationships that they don't want to be in anymore.
I know. Listen, I know. It's really hard to hear. It's hard for me to even say. And we're not there yet. I feel like I'm not even there yet. But that is the next phase of this conversation. She told the story so well and talked about her mental state and where she was. And as someone who's been in that same position, pick me, choose me, love me, the desperation, the insecurity, the low self-esteem, I've been there. I just want to kind of go over some of the themes in her story, some stuff from my own experience, and just general observations. I remember feeling like, oh, I really fucking understand that. When she was talking about how intoxicating that it felt when Legion was paying her bills and that he was taking a lot of the stress of life off of her shoulders. Honestly, I can't even fault her because that's never happened to me. Happened for me. The fucking duress. I am under duress from finances. So I can only imagine how that would feel to have this guy come in and swoop into your life and just basically take all those issues off your table. It's like it would be really hard to let go. And that's always been an issue, right? Like throughout history, when women couldn't work and whatnot, they couldn't leave their husband. I mean, up until the 70s, women couldn't even have their own bank accounts. Reesa definitely spent a good amount of time talking about the desperation that she felt and the desire and longing for a husband, a family. And I definitely have been in that place personally. And I know a lot of us have, where we overlook a guy. I might say a guy a lot in this video, but it's going to be hard for certain points, but I'm going to try and not gender it as much as possible because this could be for anyone. But personally, I've been in that place where you're so desperate. You choose a relationship over your morals, your friends, your family. I think that this story is a lesson for a lot of women today who find themselves in like a desperate position where they're considering, oh, maybe I should just settle. Yeah, maybe I should just settle. Maybe I should just pick somebody just because they want to be married so bad. They want that family so bad. And I also want to preface that when I say settle, I don't mean like, don't settle, girl, for that 5'9" guy. When you want you a 6'2" guy, hold out till you get the 6'2" guy. That's not what I'm saying when I mean settle. Don't settle for that girl with a flat ass. You deserve a girl with a fat ass. Hold out until you meet the girl with the ass of your dreams. When I say people settle, I'm saying they're settling for someone who doesn't have the same beliefs, the same morals, character. Having low self-esteem is a very dangerous thing. And it can lead you into a lot of bad situations and bad relationships. I found this article in Psychology Today that I thought was pretty good. 10 ways low self-esteem affects women in relationships. If you can't see your own worth, how can you believe a partner will? Low self-esteem can make one test or sabotage relationships that have potential or settle for relationships that match negative beliefs. Women with low self-esteem may be willing to surrender their hopes for an authentic connection with a partner to guarantee financial safety. Women whose parents experienced a painful divorce or betrayed each other might feel unable to trust a partner now. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm going to just jump around to things that stuck out to me. You feel wretched and fantasize that a knight in shining armor will take you out of your circumstances and make everything better. This longing may have formed from falling in love with a fantasy of a father. You may think you know why your father never saved you. It was your fault, not his. He doesn't really love me, does he? Below the surface, these insecurities guide your emotions and actions. You can't believe you could truly be loved, and so you test your partner every chance you get so that he can demonstrate his value. With low self-esteem, it can seem as if nothing comes easily or naturally to you. Instead, because you don't see yourself as naturally lovable, you feel like you have to fight and claw and strive for a mate. It's as if unless you go a million extra miles for something, you're not going to get it. Unfortunately, this can make you obsessed, consumed, and infatuated with your object of affection in a way that ruins the ability to have a viable trajectory. Are you willing to surrender your hopes for an authentic connection with a partner to guarantee wealth and financial safety? Because you are familiar with situations that create low self-esteem, being left, being cheated on, You gravitate toward relationships in which you're able to feel this familiar insecurity. When it's not there, you may even create it. If the relationship becomes too secure, you may become disinterested and bored and you may stray. You're so used to having to work to save an insecure relationship that these types of relationships become the only ones that you gravitate towards. But at the same time, a deeper part of you tries to push your relationship to the brink and then back again so you can artificially create an experience of insecurity. You're willing to commit yourself to the person who expresses interest in you. You become much less discriminating about who you choose. You may even be willing to put up with behavior that doesn't satisfy you because you feel lucky to have anyone at all, even though you are aware you are not happy. I'll admit that sometimes it's really hard to tell what is a red flag that you need to kind of walk on versus what is just like a flaw of somebody, because none of us are perfect. We all have flaws. It can be really hard to kind of differentiate between the two, but I think that it takes a lot of discernment and a lot of self-reflection so that you can figure out which things are something that you can compromise on versus something that is a non-negotiable. You have to look at the rest of your life and think, if this person never changed and stayed exactly who they are for the rest of my life, would I be okay with that? Also, I feel like this video really stresses that you have to work on yourself, right? I can't recommend therapy enough. Of course, you got to go to therapy. You got to work out your issues. You got to look at all your past dating situations. Like, were you putting in all the effort? Were you the one that was doing the pursuing? Were you carrying the emotional labor? And like trying to look and see if you can recognize patterns and see if you are continually ending up in the same types of situations again and again. I think something that was really interesting that Reesa talked about was her desire, her dream to go to London and Paris. And according to her updates, she's going now, so that's great.
Part 52 of why I'm kidding. I'm kidding, don't worry. But guess what, guys? I'm going to London and Paris. I'm so excited. It is official. I get to go to London and Paris, the two cities I have been wanting to go to since I was in high school. And you guys, I'm going to make the most of this trip.
Oh my God. Can you guys see that? Oh, you can't see this comment. You see this Delta right here? Delta said your trip of a lifetime needs to start in Delta 1. Flights on us. Oh my God. So she's about to get a first class trip to London, her dream to London on Delta. Listen, I'm in economy, okay? I don't even know what that is. But that sounds crazy. 45,000 likes. That's so crazy.
I want to see Westminster Abbey. I want to see the Tower of London. I want to see Buckingham Palace. What up, Charles? I'm trying to see it all. Then I'm trying to catch a flight over to Paris. Or should I take a train?
Flight.
I want to see the Eiffel Tower. I want to see the Palace of Versailles, the Hall of Mirrors. I want to see the Louvre. I want to experience everything.
So yeah, she's having the trip of her dreams, which is wonderful. I don't know her full story, so maybe she's traveled to places that she's wanted to be otherwise. But all these types of things goes into you developing you. As the title suggests, this is, you know, my opinion, the opinion of a former pick-me, how I rehabbed myself afterward. You take those trips. You hang out by yourself. You don't wait for people. You go to the movies alone. You go out to eat alone. You go have your drink alone. You got to build yourself up. You got to work on you and being comfortable with you. You guys know my opinions on the Barbie movie. I talked about it in a previous live stream. One of the things that I do feel like the movie got right, it was more so the message to Ken that he needs to not view them as Ken and Barbie, but that they are Ken, Barbie. They are separate people, and that each of them was a whole individual unto themselves. And I think that that's a good message for everybody to walk away with. Barbie had her own life and own identity outside of Ken. You know, most of us, we want love, we want a relationship, we want a life partner, we want companionship. But you need to get yourself to a place where mentally, if it doesn't happen for you, you're still going to have a life that is wonderful, happy, peaceful, and be content, regardless of whether it happens or not. Just because you don't have a life partner doesn't mean you can't have children. It doesn't mean you can't have children in your life. It doesn't mean you can't be happy. It doesn't mean you can't have family. It doesn't mean you can't have romantic relationships. You need to be happy with your own self and be satisfied with where your life is going on your own. And I just want to say, this is not I'm a strong black woman, I'm a strong white woman, that I'm a strong Asian woman, I'm a strong Latino woman that don't need no man. This is not that kind of thing, because you don't know what could happen. You literally have no idea what can happen. And I think it's really good to get yourself to a place where if it doesn't happen, if that part doesn't happen, you still gonna survive, you're still gonna be happy, you're still gonna enjoy life regardless. About 3 years ago, I started to reimagine what happy and complete life was like. I had made all these plans, I had gotten out of a relationship, I lost my dad, or I was losing my dad at the time. And basically all these things that I had hoped for my life, they just weren't happening. I was like 29 or whatever, about to be 30, and I'm just like, wow, like in Mortal Kombat when they're like, finish him. Like, that's how I was fucking swinging around. And it was also making me very depressed. I honestly made a conscious effort to start looking at what life would be like if that didn't happen for me. And so I actually have my old mood board with me that I just want to show where my mentality was. So it's a great mood board, and I haven't put it up because I want to do it over. That's the thing about mood boards. You have to update them, right? This was supposed to be health. I wanted to be healthier, eat better food. Of course, travel. I had places that I wanted to go to on here. Friendships. I wanted those friendships. I wanted to have a very close friendship with a woman that I could really depend and rely on. Career is over here in the corner, all my film stuff. But what do we see in the center? That's crazy. It's actually kind of like a heart shaped. I didn't even realize that. Love. I had put a marriage, a love, at the center of my life, of my goals, of what I wanted. I was putting my happiness on another person who didn't even exist. True love comes naturally. And we got a husband and wife here on the beach wedding, because that's what I wanted. A honeymoon on the beach, because that's what I wanted. I want a wedding on the beach and a honeymoon on the beach. And look, another wedding on the beach. And this was also on a beach, actually. Bro, I have issues. Okay, I've already talked before that I'm very jaded or whatever. I'm not saying that I'm writing it off, but this is not healthy. I put my entire being, my entire mission in life, if I find a life partner, when there's so much more to me. I have always felt like I had a mission in life, and it wasn't this. But yet I put this in the center. This is my mission. I know it sounds goofy. Making movies. Not so much making movies. We could talk about the career stuff in another video. My creativity. It's gonna do something for the world. We're still figuring that out at this point. But I put this in the center of my life. And there's a lot of women that do this, because a lot of us have watched rom-coms and Disney movies. It's like fucked our heads up, that made us feel like that's all we're worth. I ain't gonna get into conspiracies, but that was by design and they want to do that. You know what I mean? I don't need to go there. I can't put that mood board up anymore, because that isn't the most important thing in my life. I would love a relationship. A lot of us would love relationships. But you cannot say that I want a relationship no matter what. Don't ever put yourself in a position where you will be with somebody no matter what. When I was 22 and I met my narc ex, I talk about this all in great detail in the video. None of the relationships that I was in was working out. None of the guys I was talking to was working out. That year I was actually seeing a guy who by all means, like, we really hit it off. Like, we could talk for hours. Someone you could literally just spend all day, all night with. It didn't work out. And he's very mean to me, if I'm being honest. And he knows that. He's admitted to that. And then I met my ex, who, unbeknownst to me, was homeless. He knew I had low self-esteem. He could tell. A lot of these people, a lot of these predator type people can tell who to fucking mess with. And then I met Dusty King, and Dusty King was up my ass. And just the same way Reesa said her ex was intoxicating, that he would pay stuff, he did stuff that other guys didn't do. That was the same situation that I was in. He wanted to be with me all the time. He wanted to be at my house all the time. And I never experienced that before. Walked right into his trap. It was like a carrot dangling in front of a trap, and I walked right into it. I know it's hard to hear. Like I said, that's the next step of this conversation, is like the next step, the next further down is like, right, they were wrong. They shouldn't have did that. But like, why did we continue to be used and abused by this person? We have to ask those questions next. There's not a single doubt in my mind that Legion didn't know that Reesa was insecure, or that she had a hole. She had a hole that needed filling. And I think that early on, Reesa knew exactly what was going on with this guy. But again, she continued to overlook it. She continued to blow past it, because she wanted a family and a marriage that bad. And I'm not saying anything bad about her. She said this in the video. The moral here is not like, oh, you got to stay away from men or something like that. I'm a strong woman and I don't need no man. It's not at all like that. The whole point is that you need to focus on yourself. You need to work on yourself. You need to develop yourself, because when you are at your best self, you're going to meet somebody who likes you at your best self. I don't know if I want to be with someone who likes me when I'm insecure and low on myself and don't take care of myself. And I want to briefly tell a story about a woman that I met on a shoot I did a couple months back. I did a shoot at this really amazing, gorgeous mansion here in South Florida. I couldn't help myself, but I looked it up, and the house was estimated to be $4.5 million. Okay, if that puts things into perspective of you. The lady of the house was this early 50s white lady and her husband, and they had 3 very young children. And this lady just had such a confident energy about her. She just exuded the like rich, effortless, worryless white lady energy. And I'm not saying that in like a bad way. I was like, damn, I want that. I want that so bad. Literally after this shoot, I went and bought a new purse. If that don't tell you how I felt, after I left this shoot, I went and bought a new purse. I saw this woman pick up my bag and move it. I said, oh no, I gotta get a new bag. Anyway, so I heard her having a conversation with another woman that was around her age who was actually a newlywed. And she was like, oh, I'm so happy for you guys. And I heard her saying that, it took her so long for her to find her husband. She's really happy now. She's really glad that she waited. And she said that it was hard for them to have children, but that it was still worth it. I went up to her and I said, oh yeah, I just kind of overheard your conversation, and it's kind of inspiring and made me feel hopeful, because like I said, I might sound hard in this video, I don't know, but of course most people, that's what the situation, of course you want love, you want it to happen. So I was like, yeah, it's hopeful to hear you say that it was worth the wait, pretty much. And she said, yeah, like my family was telling me to settle down. And like I said, she's in her early 50s, so she's a Gen Xer, so older than me, but it's like that is kind of a different time period. Like in the 80s, late 70s, it's like you need to marry somebody. That's kind of how they view it. You know what I mean? Her family was telling her she needs to settle down. Her friends need to tell her she needs to settle down. They were all married and having kids and all kinds of things. And she refused to. She's like, no, I'm happy. Like, I'm fine. Like, I have my friends, I have my family, I have my career. Like, and she said that, then she met her husband and she just knew. It was like, and yeah, they had a hard time having kids, but it just ended up working out for her. And she said, settling is not worth it. It's not worth it to settle. Like I said, I don't know them, but they look like they're doing pretty good. She said, it's not worth it to settle. And I want to reiterate, because I know people don't like to listen. When I say settling, I'm not saying don't settle for someone who is not tall enough. Don't settle with someone whose boobs are not big enough. I'm talking about morals, values, beliefs, behavior. It's not worth it to settle for a low effort, lackluster, stressful, toxic relationship with somebody. And I'm saying somebody because, again, I do not want to gender this. Of course, women, it's not worth it to settle for a man who is low effort, toxic, dusty, don't do shit for you, doesn't value family, unfaithful, liar, disloyal, cheap, and honestly, quiet as it's kept. I feel like a lot of men settle for women that they don't even really like that much. And it's because they want a maid and they want a consistent wet hole. But that's a conversation for another time. But nobody should settle. Like, I do question if Legion actually really liked Reesa, or if he just needed a host to latch onto, like the parasite that he is. She talked about when it was COVID time and they were trying to figure out where they were going to quarantine. And it was pretty obvious, like, looking at her place versus his place, they were going to quarantine in her place. And pick-meism, it starts early. It starts early on in life. From my memory, I was a pick-me from around age 9. There was a guy who lived down the street from me. Let's call him Tyler. I had a huge crush on Tyler. Valentine's Day in class, we were making like little hearts and stuff for our friends or family or whatever. I made him a little paper heart and I taped a little candy to it. And it was like, will you be my Valentine or something like that? And I gave it to him. He snatched it from me, tore it up, and threw it on the ground into a puddle. Did that stop me from liking him? No. I felt, maybe I have to try harder or something. Even at age 9, I was so desperate for somebody to like me back. And I think you guys should also, anyone watching this who has kids, you need to pay attention to your daughters or your sons if they get obsessed with people at their school like this, because it says something else. So not long after this whole Valentine thing started, this boy, Tyler, ended up telling his girlfriend that I liked him and I tried to get with him or something. And this girl tried to fight me at school at recess. And I was really like backing up, like, I don't want to fight. And the only reason why I didn't get in a fight was because the bell rang and we had to go inside. Did that stop me from liking him? No. Like, desperation at such a young age. Some of us will be with guys that show us over and over and over and over again that they do not like us. And we'll keep going. I just got to convince him. I just got to show him. If only he could see how great I am. I don't know if it's possible to completely, totally, and utterly love yourself inside and out, everything about you consistently. I don't think it's possible. We all have our days. But you gotta at least try, you know what I mean? Otherwise, it will lead you into a situation like the ones I've been in, the ones Reesa was been in. And I know a lot of y'all have been in these situations. I know a lot of y'all have stories of cringy, stupid things you did because you were so desperate. Ooh, and another super embarrassing story. Reesa is just inspiring the world now. At the end of my last relationship, I knew the ship was sinking. I knew that the relationship had long run its course. It had gone on way longer than it was supposed to. Neither one of us could just let go and cut the cord, you know what I mean? It got to a point where I just told myself, all right, whatever. Like, I'll just keep doing this ping pong match with him. And we'll probably get married and then we'll get divorced a couple years after. And I'll just deal with it when it happens. Deal with it then when it happened. Like, that's bad. There's a lot of people that have fundamental problems in their relationship and they still go and marry the person anyway because everybody wants love, wants a partner, desperation, societal expectations. Maybe it's your family, your friends. People are asking, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to do all these things? And we need to stop worrying about those shits and worrying about our own self, peace, and contentment. This affects men too. Like, men need to find their contentment. We see with these podcasts and the mic holders and all this shit that there's a certain obsession with women that's very unhealthy for a lot of men that feel like they are not complete unless they have a woman, like I said, a wet hole and a breeder, or at least someone they can control. I think that a lot of men feel like they have no control in the world we're living in, and they don't. And it's really fucked up. And there's a lot of expectations on men for like provision, and when they can't control that stuff, There are some that feel like if they can just control a woman, then it will like kind of balance things out for them, when it usually doesn't work, because then those relationships end up failing. And then again, it's like the cycle again where he's just like, okay, then I need to be mad at women again. And so again, like there's a lot of people that will know these things and they'll just keep going on with the relationship even though they know that it's not going to work. And now I've seen videos, some clips of the guy Legion coming online and telling people that Reesa was lying. Of course. You know, it'll never stop with these types of people, but those are just some random thoughts from a former recovered pick-me. Yes, I can say I'm so happy I'm no longer a pick-me, baby. Pick me, choose me, love me, not me. It took me a while, definitely. I'm single and, you know, I'm at peace. Of course, it comes those times when you're like, oh, I wish I had somebody. Oh, and then I'll get on the app for like an hour and I'm like, I'm good. You want some single motivation? Get on a dating app. Well, God, let me tell you. Okay. Everybody should be praying for Reesa's mental health and her heart while she's, let's say, getting a lot of success and getting a lot of support and praise and well wishes after telling this story. It is hard to relive this damn thing again, especially when you start, you know, you do get in your head. You're like, actually, I don't even know if I've forgiven myself. I'm just kind of like numb to it. I just kind of like forget about it. Just don't even think about it. It's like, I understand why I did what I did. If I look up the definition of forgiveness, I don't know if that's what I did to myself. It's really hard because you're like asking yourself, like, why did I do that? Like, what got me there mentally? Like it takes a lot. And so to get over something like this, so you gotta have a talk with yourself, have a talk with your God. Do things for yourself. Dance by yourself like nobody's watching. Dress for yourself. Keep yourself up. Pamper yourself. Go get a massage. Go do all the things. Travel alone. Don't wait on anybody. You have to do things for you. You have to be content for you. And get yourself, again, like I said, to a place where you say, if it happens for me, great. If it doesn't happen for me, I'ma still be great. Yeah. And that's the thoughts and advice and interpretations from a recovered pick-me. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have recovered from a narcissistic, compulsive, lying, dusty ass mother, please leave a comment down below. Tell your story. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you thought of Reesa's saga. You know, I know she talked about somebody doing a series or a movie. As soon as she said that, I was like, oh, I wish it was me. But I'm sure somebody's gonna pick this. She's probably already talking to people about picking up this story. And I actually had some ideas to do Dusty King into a short film, which I will at some point. Make sure you leave a comment below and let's start a discussion of some kind. If you are a recovered pick-me, leave a martini glass emoji in the comments section with your comment, okay? So I can give it a nice little heart. Anyway, guys, peace out.